Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Nameless Show. I'm your host, domentora. Today is January 22nd, 2016. Hope everybody has a great one. I'm sure I will. I won't. It's not like I'll be at work all day, as I was today on my day off, which is why, once again, I'm recording late. That's not the reason I'm recording late. I, as a kid, may have had a slight addiction to a video game called Roller Coaster Tycoon. And a few days ago, I had a dream that I was showing somebody what I could do on Roller Coaster Tycoon. The original one, mind you. I never played the second one, and the third one was this 3D pile of shit. The very first one, the first Roller Coaster Tycoon. And after the dream, I just kept thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it, and I was finally like, you know what? What other game could I play on this computer and have some fun with? You know, the way I play Roller Coaster Tycoon, a lot of it is sitting around waiting for money. It's just letting it sit, letting it sit. I used to spend summers, I'd wake up in the morning, like 11 o'clock, right? Go over to the computer, boot up Roller Coaster Tycoon, set everything up, right? You don't charge anything for the rides. You blow the price sky high on the park entrance, but then you don't charge shit for rides. People will pay it. And then you just let it sit. You just let it sit. You walk away for 2 hours, do something else. You come back. Obviously you have to have enough maintenance people. You have to have enough security guards and whatnot. You have to be able to handle all your shit while you're gone. And kind of like a real business. You want to build it up, hire good people who can take care of it so that you don't have to be there every day. And then let it sit and visit every once in a while and just make sure things are how you want them to be as the owner. And that's what I would do. I'd go watch a movie, go read some books, do whatever it was I was going to do with my day, go outside, play with neighbors, whatever I was going to do. With that, just the computer just on sitting there. Is it a massive waste of electricity? Yes. Therefore, massive waste of money? Yes. But I always had so much fun doing that because I'd walk away for a few hours, I'd come back, I'd be rich, and I would just destroy the park. I would rip it down completely and build it up to what I wanted. Because in this game, you start out with those pretty limited funds, and you can get a loan, and you can change the price of the loan. And in the park I'm playing with right now, I can have a loan up to $30,000. You start out with a $10,000 loan. And now my policy is you take out that $30,000 loan, you bump it all the way up to $30,000, and you just build as much as you can before you open. Now, you have objectives in it. The first park, the objective is by the end of October the first year to have at least 250 people in the park with at least, it's like a 500 rating. People like you. Which, by the way, I blew out of the water. I had 750 people in my park and a 725 rating. Just saying, pretty good at this game. A lot of experience. But what you do, you keep the park closed. You don't open that park, and you just build shit until you're out of money. And you got to have a good design. You got to have a good layout. You don't want people to get lost. You invest a whole bunch in your little research team so they can find more rides for you. And then you don't open the park until you are broke. And you charge 20 cents a ride, $25 entry fee. And you're going to hit the point pretty quick where you can put out an advertising campaign. Because having the rides, having the park built in full is more important than advertising for the park. So once you have it built in full and you open the park, it's 20 cents a ride, $30 at the gate, $25 at the gate. You make enough pretty quickly. You only need 20 people to come in, and you got enough money for that 6-week advertising campaign for the park. Right? So now you roll that advertising campaign through the park. Now people are pouring in, right? Once you hit about 100 people in the park, you drop the price of the rides down to 10 cents, boost the cost up to 40. See if people will pay it. If people are still walking in, you're good. Once you hit about that 200, 250 mark, slash all the rides, nothing, and then pop it up to 50. People are still playing it, you're good. And then let it sit, let it sit, let it sit. Once you've got about $10,000, then you can do the real work. That's when you actually start playing the game. Because once you got about $10,000 left from dead broke, keep in mind you also got $30,000 owing to the bank. Once you got $10,000 left, then you can start having fun with it. Now you got enough money to start, custom building some of the roller coasters. You don't have to use the template. You can custom build a few. You can do this, that, the other thing. You're set. From that point on, you're just building more shit, raising the price of the entrance to cover the shit, because the more you have in there, the more they're willing to pay. You don't charge a thing for the rides, so they're willing to pay more at the gate because they're paying nothing for the rides, and that's actually that's a game mechanic, by the way. You can charge out the ass for the rides, but you have to have almost no entry fee, or the better option, charge out the ass for the entry fee and make the rides free. Because when you're charging for the rides, people run out of money, right? It's like when I went to Silver Dollar City in real life. Silver Dollar City in Branson is like 25% rides and the rest of it is gift shops. It sucks. Now the rides are fun and the gift shops are really neat. And I went at a time where when I went, I had money that I could just blow. I shouldn't have. It was a very irresponsible financial period for me. But I could just, money. It was fine. But for most people, you pay $50 to go into a place. You can ride all the rides you want. Yeah, sure. But after a while, you're kind of ridden all the rides. There's nothing but gift shops that want you to spend more money. It's the same principle in the game. And I'm going to take a drink of not Dr. Pepper. We're not sponsored by Dr. Pepper tonight. I'm sorry, Dr. Pepper. You want me to keep pimping you? You gotta pay me in your drink. Tonight we're sponsored by Red's Apple Ale. That is my unofficial official sponsor tonight. Red's Apple Ale, quote unquote ale with natural apple flavor and caramel color. Red's Apple Ale. It's not the worst apple ale. I'm a great slogan writer. So once you've got at $10,000, you can start building, ramping up the price, ramping up the price. And because it's free, all the rides are free, no one's leaving. When you're charging for the rides but not charging at the gate, then, you have to pay a lot more attention to, who's at what ride. You can't really let that go. You've had a roller coaster for a certain amount of time, people aren't going to be willing to pay $7 to ride it every time. Now I got to drop it to $5. Now I got to drop it to $4. There's a lot more micromanaging, and you might be able to make more money off of it. Maybe. But you're definitely not going to have as many guests. So what you do is, if you're charging $75 for them to come in, if they're willing to pay $75 to come in, they'll usually show up with, 90-ish. $75 to come in, then they got $15 to blow. As for the snacks, the map, the balloons, whatever other little kiosky crap you can build. And you keep people in your park. And when you got a lot of people in your park, you can fill out the rides, and you can, the more people you have in your park, for some reason, the more people who come to your park. And then you just start raking in money and raking in money and raking money and raking money. And then you pay off that debt. You get down to zero. Like, let me hop over the computer real quick and see where we're at right now. I've already hit the goal on this map. Really good. This is the first map. We're actually September year 2. I'm sitting at a little over $33,000 and a little over 1,300 guests. With almost a max rating. Not bad. I've got a bunch of rides, all that good stuff. So why are we just sitting? Right? I beat it. Beat the objective. Well, the objective is a challenge, but it's not the fun part. The fun part is building the ride of your dreams. All my Sims people. You know what I mean? All my SimCity, and you guys know what I mean. The fun part isn't necessarily meeting the objectives. The fun part is just building your shit. So first you got to do this. Here's what I'm doing right now. Pacing around the apartment, recording the show, and just letting it ride. And just letting the money come in. The loan's paid off. That's $33,000 that I've just got. That's $33,000 for me. For all my crazy shenanigans. But I'm not using it yet. Because at this point, I've got at least one of every ride. Some of them I've got 2. I'm not entirely happy with the park layout, but it works. Right now, we're just sitting making money. The way I have it right now will make me money. And we're just going to let it sit. Maybe go back every so often, every 50 minutes or so, pop on over, pause the video game, stop the reading, hold on the chores, run a new ad campaign, blow $600, and even more people will come into the park. My cat just picked up a shot glass off the floor with his teeth. That was impressive. He knocked it off the counter earlier, and I just hadn't picked it up yet. And then he picked it up and was trying to take it away. He's an alcoholic, I swear to God. Anyway, this show is sponsored by Red's Apple Ale. So what you do is just let it sit. And just let it sit, and you just let it sit. And like where I'm at now, where I've got maintenance men for everything, security, entertainers, plenty of handymen, we're good. I'm just going to let it sit. I can let it sit for 2 hours real time. I can let it sit for 2 days real time. I'm not going to do that because it costs electricity and I'm cheap. But you basically just let it sit until you're filthy, filthy, filthy rich. Then you shut down the park. You kick everybody out. You destroy everything and you start from scratch. Not many people know this, but in Roller Coaster Tycoon, you can buy the land around the parks and expand your parks. But that's expensive. You have to. It's a lot of money to buy that land. You got to demo all the trees. You got to flatten the land, do the landscaping, all that. It costs an arm and a leg. I'm at $33,000 right now, something like that. Let me crash down again. Yeah, 33,245, 247, 230. I'm not making as much as I thought I would. Where's my money at? Lines are full. That's good. That's what we want. Another pro tip, by the way. If you ever feel like not enough people are going to certain rides, because they do get stale after a while, people will just stop going to them. Just delete it, replace it with the exact same ride. Solves your problem right there. Alright, yeah, people are still coming in. People are still coming in. I bet I can go ahead and run an ad campaign for the park. Yes, I can. Wow, it's $2,100. Alright, that's a little bit more expensive than I may have intimated earlier. Hold on. Sorry, just feeding a video game addiction here. All the 5 people who watch this show, I'm sure you understand. I'll even run a 2-week ad campaign for the park for half price. The half price really doesn't help anything if you run a half price entry when you're not charging anything for the rides, but can't hurt more people you get in. So then you close it, you trash it, you get rid of everybody, you expand it, and then you build your dream. I have a set standard. I have a specific way that I do this first park. I have an ideal, a goal, a way that I'd love to set up the first park because it always works, but you can't do it with the allotted money. You cannot set up this park with $30,000. It's a good $90,000 to set up this park. But where I'm at right now, $33,000 odd. Take out that $30,000 loan again. Now I'm at $60,000. Now I can actually do some stuff. Now I can start having fun and playing the game. But it's a game that I haven't played in a long time because it is just so massively addicting to me. I have no self-control with it. I had maybe 7 or 8 parks as a kid, and I played this game for years. And I pretty much only played it over the summer. I wasn't allowed to play computer games very often during school year. But I had maybe 7 or 8 parks that I would just revisit day after day after day, just building up and 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 building up the perfect park over and over and over again. Oh, I'm at $150,000 without the loan? Well, I've already deleted and redesigned this park 5 times. Let's go for a 6. Let's build the craziest coaster I can. I've got the money. I can blow money. Let's do this. It's awesome. So after that dream, it was actually an interesting dream. I don't remember the majority of it. But I was showing a cute girl Roller Coaster Tycoon. For some reason, she was interested in that. And she found it as funny as I did as a kid. Haven't found out yet if I still do. I haven't done it yet. The center of the earth trick. See, in the first Roller Coaster Tycoon, if you raise just one little plot of land, up one, and then dropped a person on it, because you could pick up your guest, which is not very nice. That's, an HR hazard. But you could pick up your guest, you could drop them on this higher center of land. They can't go off the sides. And you just build it up. Take it as high as you can. You got a guest on there. Then you drop it down real quick. They start falling. Raise it back up. They disappear in the center of the earth. Gone. Which, by the way, if you're playing for the goals, and a quick and easy goal, have to have, like for this one, 250 people in the park. Pretend there's no, there's a few other maps where the challenge is just to have a certain number of people in the park. You don't have to maintain a rating. It'd be like, this many people in the park with this much money. Poof! If it's 250 people, drop 100 of them onto a square, raise it up, lower it, raise it back again. They disappeared in the center of the earth, but the thing says they're still in the park. You win every time. I'm a devious little bastard. I can't tell you how many of these digital people I killed, and I can't tell you I'm going to enjoy it again because I'm just getting excited thinking about it. Roller Coaster Tycoon. Why did I let you back in my life? I fear that's going to prove to be a mistake. Kind of like switching from Detroit water to water out of the Flint River. Right? Master of segues here. Last episode I said that I was going to talk about the Flint water crisis, and I would still like to talk about the Flint water crisis. Now, the summary of what happened, I'll link a news article down below, maybe at some point, I don't know, I'm actually starting to get tired. But a summary of what's going on is that Flint, Michigan used to be a kind of a boom town. Lots of people in there. It was a big auto place, as were many places in Michigan in the Great Lakes area. During the, I guess we can call it auto boom, before the jobs got shipped out and all that crap. Flint was a big city. Even by today's standards, I think you could fairly call what they were proportionally a big city. But then the jobs left, blah blah blah. Now Flint's kind of in a pickle. It's poor. They're in what I consider, I think what most people would consider an economic crisis. They're not a rich suburb. Additionally, though this is not a negative thing, but it is something that I find kind of interesting given what we'll get to later. It's also it's a majority black area now. Still, white politicians running almost everything, but it's majority black. So a couple of years ago, they got tired of paying the city of Detroit for water. And previously, Detroit treated the water and sent it over to Michigan, or sent it over to Flint, pipes and whatnot. Detroit, which by the way, is also doing great financially, sent it over to Flint. Well, Flint decided to join a different organization, have them provide the water, the name of which escapes me right now, and I don't have any of my research material in front of me. I apologize, my computer's busy running Roller Coaster Tycoon. Clearly that's the more important thing right now. So Flint decided that they were going to join the separate thing. They were going to get their water from a different source. It sounded like a good plan. Everyone liked it. It was voted on and approved. Everyone thought this was a great plan. Except for the city of the city of Detroit. Because Detroit said, oh, well, you're not going to get your water from us anymore? Well, fine then. We're just going to kill your water now. And gave them a notice that said at this date they were just going to cut off water service. I don't know if the people of Flint really expected that, but that's what Detroit did. So what's Flint's going to do? What's the fix? It's going to take it's going to take years for them to build all these pipelines and connect to this new water thing. But Detroit's not going to give us water anymore. What are we going to do? We need water. All right, we're going to connect to the Flint River. A very dirty, very polluted river. A very corrosive river. The kind of corrosion that would leach lead out of piping that may contain it, or brackets connecting piping that may contain it. Basically, anything that water touched that had lead in it, it was going to blop that lead right out. And that's exactly what it did. Now, I'll clarify here. Something fun to add on. There is a federally mandated treatment for water that the city of Flint did not put in their water. And that federally mandated treatment is what prevents this from happening anywhere else. Because the chemical that's added per this treatment it lowers the corrosiveness of water. Basically, to dumb it down, it prevents the water from leaching lead out of the pipes. So even though there's still lead in the pipes, which more modern houses don't, but the majority, something like 55% of the houses in Flint are over 50 years old and still have lead everywhere, including lead pipes, mixed lead pipes, or lead supports for the pipes. Now this treatment would have cost the city of Flint $100 a day. Why they did not do it, I do not know. I don't think anyone can justify that, but I don't think anyone really can explain it. $100 a day, even as a city with an economic crisis, is piss water. That's what, 2 speeding tickets? The city may have gotten smaller, but I'm pretty sure they can cover. I'm pretty sure they got 2 speeding tickets a day. So fast forward a couple years, and almost instantly, actually, people started getting sick. A local doctor started blood testing the children, finding, regular increases the longer this went on of lead in the children. And then more recently, January 2016, early January 2016, a research team led by a guy from Virginia Tech. Once again, I apologize, my research notes are not in front of me. What's in front of me is Roller Coaster Tycoon, which 1,400 guests. People are pissed off because it's raining, but I see you're buying the umbrellas now, assholes. What if I raise the price of the umbrellas? I might just raise the price of the umbrellas. Hold on. It's only because their approval of the park went down. It's not my fault it's raining, dicks. Yeah. Now they're $3.50 for an umbrella, not $2.50. Suck it. Look at that money going up. You're buying it anyway. Sorry. Spewing a little bit of hate at those digital guys. So this guy, Virginia Tech, they do a study and release it, finding astronomically large amounts of lead in the water. Now, the U.S. government approves 0 parts per billion. Billion! With a B! Of lead in water. Lead is horrible for you. Mad Hatter, Alice in Wonderland. Mad Hatter in general is a term for people who made hats long time ago that worked a lot with lead. Personally, I don't know what lead and hats have to do with each other, but that's where the Mad Hatter concept, he's as mad as a hatter. Hatters dealt with lead a lot, don't know why, they went cuckoo, woo-hoo, lead's bad for you. You ever heard the expression, eating paint chips? That's 'cause paint used to have a lot, they used to use lead in paint. It would fuck you up. Lead's not good. So 0 parts per billion is what's allowed. At 5 parts per billion, and once again, that's billion with a B. At 5 parts per billion, it's considered unsafe. It's considered a caution. This is not safe. And Flint's water, especially in the older districts, was measuring with a level of frequency that's shocking at 100 parts per billion. 100 parts per billion. It's 10 parts for every 100 million, or 1 part for every 10 million. I hope I did my math right there, because I'm not re-recording. Including one house, may God have mercy on the people living in it, where the lead contamination was at over 1,300 parts per billion. 1,300 times, I guess you can't even really time zero, but stick with me here, 1,300 times acceptable levels according to the federal government. And once again, a local doctor noticed the issue almost immediately, as did the residents, complaining about foul-tasting water, residents getting sick, hospitals reporting, spikes and people getting sick, and this doctor, reporting spikes and people getting, sick, and the kids with the high, way above average and way, way, way above acceptable levels of lead in their systems, lead in their blood. And the city of Flint did nothing. Emergency management did nothing. Environmental protection agencies did nothing. Water regulation organizations, they did nothing. Report after report after report came in to Michigan's government and the Flint government. An announcement were made over and over and over again, assuring people that they were safe, until this Virginia Tech study finally got some shit into gear and said, no, it's not. The hospitals in Flint, there's a very famous picture rolling around right now of a sink in a hospital spewing out yellow fluid. You can't even call it water, it's just yellow filth. The amount of lead contamination in that one house is literally toxic waste. According to the federal government. The federal government classifies water with that amount of lead content as toxic waste. And that's what the citizens of Flint are dealing with. And it's unbelievable that that can happen in this country, in this age. And happen over a long period of time, happen over literal years. It's been a couple years of this going on. And so far, there's still people who deny that anything was happening with jobs. The federal government finally stepped in. The state government finally started doing something. Flint's reconnected to Detroit, but unfortunately, it's not really solving the crisis. Because this corrosive water from the Flint River has just destroyed their water system. These pipes with lead in it are still seeping. The corrosion has ate away at any protective layers they possibly had on it, so even the water from Detroit, with the proper treatments, is still hazardous. How do you fix that? Laying a whole new pipe throughout the city? How does this get fixed? I honestly don't know. But recently, and by that I mean within the last day or two, emails were released. I don't know whether under pressure, under Freedom of Information, or whatever it was. Emails were released because there are multiple lawsuits right now against government officials and private contractors involved in this, accusing them of knowing that they were giving people toxic waste. That's water. And the email is just the most fascinating thing I've ever read, right? It's just, it's amazing. Because it's about as clear as their water. It's got a to, it's got a, address, addressee, subject date, all that. And then just red lines. The Benghazi files have less redaction than this does. All this is, all we saw out of this particular email that I got to look at was who sent it, who got it, what date, and what the subject was, and then black lines. There was not a single word that wasn't redacted. Why? Is transparency not necessary in this case? Well, yeah, I think it is. I'd like my water to be pretty transparent, David, and I'll tell you what. I don't know what accent that was. I don't know if Michigan has an accent. It probably does. I just don't know it. So what can we do? What can you do? Well, you can donate. I'm sure they have a donation page set up. I'll link it in the description if I can find one. What else can we do? Well, honestly, donate, help. You know, the Red Cross, the National Guard, they're all taking water donations. But I think now would be a good time not to diminish the plight of the people in Flint. But this would be a good time to once again remind ourselves that this probably wouldn't have happened in a wealthy white suburb. I'm not trying to start something, but these are facts. It happened in a poor, predominantly black suburb. Happens in a wealthy white suburb. Well, it doesn't. But I think this is a good time for us to sit down and figure out where our water comes from, right? I know where my water comes from. It tastes like shit a lot of the year. Because I get it from a dirty lake. A really dirty lake. It's often in drought. And with the way the climate and the weather is where I live, during fall and during spring, with cold days and with warm days and cold nights, the water shifts. Warm water rises, cold water sinks, just like warm air rises and cold water sinks. Or cold air sinks. And that turning of the lake, as it's called, makes the water taste terrible. It even changes, when you drink a soda out of the fountain, if they're connected to the city tap water, you can taste the lake change. Sometimes you can even smell it. And depending on the level of drought, it can be unbearable. There are some years where I don't notice it. And some years where I maybe for that couple of weeks only take a couple, maybe skip showering for a day or two. Just to avoid it. It's not pleasant. But I know it's clean. Partially because I use a water filter. But also because my city, because of the source, because of this dirty source, spends an ungodly amount of money. I see it on my bill every month in treating it. And I know that even if it tastes like crap because of the lake turning, it's clean. Do you know the same about your water? Do you know where the water you're drinking out of your tap right now, do you know where it came from? Do you know where the treatment plant is? Do you know how old the treatment plant is, when the last time it was renovated was? My treatment plant actually just got a renovation a few years ago. It's named after the grandfather of a friend of mine who actually kind of built the place. Well, somebody I knew back in high school. I don't really talk to him, but that's not the point. I think now would be a great time to do two things. First, help in any way you can. Send money, send water. Water might even be more important than money right now. You send $1, that might get bureaucratized into 70 cents. You send a bottle of water, that's a bottle of water. But send money, send water. Help the people in Flint. And then the second thing you need to do is figure out the state of your own water. Find out where it comes from. Find out what it's treated with. Find out where the plant is that's treating it. Ask for a tour if they're open. Find out how old it is, when it was last renovated. I mean, hell, maybe even write your city council. Say, hey, in light of this Flint situation, we would like a transparency on our water situation. What are we looking like? Because the more you know about your life, and the water you drink is a massive part of your life. Well, for most people, I drink Dr. Pepper. So, more concerned about where that water comes from, which I have no idea. But the more you know about your life, and where your food comes from, and where your water comes from, and what it's treated with, that's going to help you. Because this Flint water crisis should be messing with your peace of mind. It should be messing with everyone's peace of mind. Because this shouldn't be happening in 2016. But if it can happen in 2016, then it can happen in 2016. So maybe it happens in your town tomorrow. It won't. But check. Learn what you can. You know, maybe this will spark something. Maybe the press and activist groups will start going, town to town and city to city, finding out what's the deal with the water, and it will uncover some horrible shit that then can be fixed. This is a horrible tragedy. This is a human rights violation. But it can be used as a springboard for improvement nationwide on our water treatment. Water is a scarce commodity. We're running out of it. There's drought plaguing the West Lake to a ridiculous level. Google pictures of the Hoover Dam's current water level. Looking out over Lake Mead from Hoover Dam is almost 100 feet of just white rock, showing you the high water line from just 20 years ago versus where it is now. There are marinas that were active and thriving 20 years ago that are now 2 miles away from the nearest water. We have more people and less clean water. Maybe now, in light of this crisis, is a great time for action to be taken and inquiries to be made to ensure not only does this not happen again, but that the water nationwide in every tap in every household is as clean and safe as possible. This stuff happens by people not knowing. If the citizens of Flint, or even the federal government, because once again, this broke federal law, not putting in that chemical treatment, knew from day one that the chemical treatment was not being put into their water, then they could have known from day one there was lead. We need to use this as a springboard, as a jumping off point, where we can say the Flint water crisis, which came to a head once it became extremely well publicized in January 2016, changed our nation for the better because we all took charge, got educated, and fixed every water system that we could find that had a problem. So next time you're complaining about your water bill, I get it. I don't like my water bill either. I don't like any of my bills, to be honest. But just know, me, single guy, I live in a 2-bedroom apartment, looking for a roommate. The first month that I was on my own, the water portion of my water sewer trash, it was like $15. I don't know if I used a lot of water or not. I don't really have anything to base that off of. Maybe it was close to 12. But did I want to pay $12? No. It's almost an hour worth of my work. I'm essentially working, 45 minutes a month to pay for my water bill. By the way, you want a fun activity. While you're at work, kind of keep track in your head of what you're working towards. The first the first week and a half of work of the month, okay. Every second I'm here, I'm paying my rent. Oh, then I'm paying my cell phone bill, and I'm paying my car insurance, now I'm paying my gas, now I'm paying my food. Whew! You want to improve your money management skills. Think about the ass-backwards shit you had to do to get that money, and what you have to put it towards while you're getting that money. Oh, changes your perspective. Speaking of money, and probably the end of the Flint thing, because I've said all I can really say. Right now we're sitting at 42,000. 1,400 guests. Swinging ship is broke down. Don't know how that's happening. I have more maintenance people than God. Let's go ahead and run us another advertising campaign for the park. Bump it up to 4 weeks. Blow another $2,100. Which apparently I have. Now my weekly profit's actually down. Oh, it's alright. I don't care. My park value's up. And my cash less loan is significantly up. We're doing good. Pretty soon, though. Oh, I just got a popcorn stall. I gotta find a place for that. Everybody loves their popcorn stalls. What was the other thing I wanted to talk to y'all about today? You know what? This will be short. I'll keep it short. I went on about the Michigan water crisis a little bit longer than I intended to. I apologize for that. So we're going to keep this one short, and we're going to talk about the movie 13 Hours. Which I'm going to summarize. I have a cotton candy thing as well. Yeah, I'm just going to feed these fuckers till they get fat. My feelings on modern war movies are complicated. Because by and large, I found them to be overly patriotic drivel that does nothing useful or good, and is usually stokes a little bit of racism. Now, a lot of that depends on your viewpoint. I went and saw American Sniper. I didn't find it to be a racist movie. I didn't really even find it to be an anti-war, a pro-war movie. If anything, I think the argument can fairly be made that American Sniper was an anti-war movie, and that it showed the horrible effects of PTSD. But this movie is a little bit different. This movie focuses much more heavily on a specific event rather than a specific person. It's a specific event that's still dogging this country. Still a mark on this country that what happened was allowed to happen. Now, the historical accuracy has been called into question by some, and it is a Michael Bay film. Although I can say it's the first time I've been a fan of a Michael Bay film, and I literally don't remember how long. But if you take out any intentional or incidental political undertones, and if you watch it for what it is, a war movie trying to be fact-based, centering on what the people in that situation went through. Either the private military contractors with the CIA, the actual CIA operatives, most of which were, civilian in that they weren't trained in anything military, or the people at the compound. It's crazy to think about what they had to go through and that it was allowed to happen. For those of you who don't know, for a while now, this isn't just a Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State, or Secretary of whatever the hell she was. Sorry, I'm sleepy. Secretary of State. And Obama is president. This isn't just a Bush thing, and this isn't just a Clinton thing, and this isn't just a Bush thing. It's not even just a Reagan thing. There have been, for a long time now, we have understaffed and done a poor job of security at diplomatic outposts, which is what this was. Some people thought it was an embassy. No, it was a diplomatic outpost, slightly different. And at embassies. And that we use private military contractors to secure our people. And I'm not dissing the PMCs. The PMCs contracted with the CIA and Benghazi, by all accounts, did an amazing job. Did the absolute best that could be asked of them and more. But security overseas at our diplomatic outposts and embassies and installations and everything else has been fairly called into suspect after this. And I'm not getting political because this has been an issue under many different parties as leadership and many different heads of state and many different, secretaries of state. And we'll probably never fully find out who knew what and when, who all attempted to cover up and who didn't. Whether or not planes could have gotten there in time, we'll probably never find out all of the facts on this. So I'm not telling you to go see it as a political thing. I found it less political than American Sniper. And me watching it, the biggest message I got out of American Sniper was that our soldiers are still being poorly taken care of, that PTSD is a major issue for people coming back from this war, and that baby is really, 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 really fake. With this movie, I just felt humbled. I felt proud. And the crazy thing is, this movie was able to do it without being a racist dick. Including real characters, real people in Libya who fought alongside the contractors and the CIA and the defense people. I'm just going to say us, who fought alongside us. Real people who were helping us in this situation. Instead of, like American Sniper, in which basically every single Muslim person was a terrorist or a terrorist sympathizer, this movie went out of the way to separate the militia that launched this terrorist attack from everybody else. There were people who were warning Americans of things coming. There were people who were trying to help. And there were people who were actively helping. And at the very end of the movie, something I thought was touching and just perfectly epitomized why this particular modern war movie should be watched, regardless of your political beliefs or your worry that it's going to be racist or not, is at the end when they're going over some more facts, a little slideshow showing the pictures, either blurred face or not, of the people who died. They show and focus for a significant amount of time on one slide of the protests in Benghazi the day afterwards, in which thousands of Libyans protested the militant actions, holding signs up that said things like, "Chris Stevens is a friend to Libya. May God be with Chris Stevens. And this is not our Libya." It was a movie that was able to capture the intensity and the action and the heart pounding, and you felt exhausted walking out of. You felt mentally and emotionally and physically drained leaving. It did such a good job of just pulling you in, even if it took a while to get the actual action started. But you did not feel like the movie was trying to condemn a religion, a country, and rather just tell a story of something that happened. And there were points in the movie where it was pretty clear that there was a political agenda at work, at least behind the scenes. Especially when you compare things in the movie to, facts as we may know them. Like I said, we'll probably never actually know everything that happened. But I have to recommend 13 Hours. And I'll tell you what I told my dad and a friend of his when we walked out of the theater. I said, I'm really glad I saw this movie, but I don't ever want to watch it again. Because I like to think I'm a big, tough man. I think I'm pretty manly. When I tore all the muscle and all the skin off the inside of one of my fingers, and it was nothing but bone and blood, and when I looked at it, I didn't cry. I dropped onto my knees, I held my hand, I yelled at somebody, "Hey, get over here, look at my finger, how bad is it?" It was actually a guy who was really squeamish around blood, so props to him for not getting sick that day, because that would have made it a lot worse. I'm not going to say his name, but I really appreciate what you did for me that day. I'm like, "Hey, how bad is it? Because I'm not going to look." He goes, "Ghost White, oh, that's bad." Good. Get up, go to the restroom, wash it off. Turns out I tore all the muscle off of the side of my, or all the tendon, whatever it was, off the side of my finger. When I look at it, there's still a massive scar and a dent in. And I still have a weird feel sensation where if I rub that side of the finger, I actually feel it in the tip of my finger. I don't actually feel it on that side of my finger. I guess that's just nerve. It fucked me up. I didn't cry washing it. I didn't cry when it happened. I didn't cry when I finally looked at it and could feel the pain. Because like I said, I dropped to my knees, held it. I didn't want to look at it because I knew as soon as I saw how bad it was going to start hurting like a bitch. When I had my knee surgery, I cried once. And that was when I was so doped up on pain pills the day I got done with the surgery. I'm lying in bed, and I tried to stand up to go to the restroom without crutches or any assistance, and just instantly stood up, right on that leg, collapsed, whoo, done. Scream like a motherfucker. I like to think I'm a tough guy. I didn't cry during Titanic. No, I'll cry during certain songs. Riding with Private Malone makes me cry. Songs I have a big emotional connection with will sometimes get to me every once in a while. I don't remember the last time a movie made me cry. And if it weren't for my dad and his friends sitting right next to me, I probably would have. I'm not trying to get all political and patriotic and rah, 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 army, fight people, kill people on you. Because I don't really think that's what the movie was trying to do. It did get political, under the scenes, and you take that for what you will. But what I took away from the movie wasn't that. And it wasn't an anger or hatred toward the Libyan people at large. It was just a sense of weight on me that this thing happened. Even if it's been dramatized, that this event happened. It's the Black Hawk Down for millennials who pay attention. Kind of. So I encourage you to go watch it. I encourage you to filter out the political subtext, as I did. But I encourage you to go watch it. Because it's a good action movie. And it's a really good historical war movie, even if it was just a few years ago. But I'm not going to watch it again. Because, honestly, I don't think I can sit through that again. But also, it was a Michael Bay movie without gratuitous, unnecessary explosions. So I think we can all get behind that. On that note, the podcast is over. The show's gone. Everybody, you go enjoy your day. We're ending it looking at $43,000. Oh, hold on. Give it just a second. Come on, somebody enter my stupid park. There we go, $44,000 and 1,456 guests at an almost perfect approval rating. I'm good at this game and it's going to take over my life. I have to shut it down to render the video out though. Thank you everybody for watching, listening. Don't forget to like, favorite, comment, subscribe, share the absolute shit out of this. If you listen for this long, leave a comment telling me what your favorite PC game of all time is from when you were a kid. I'm talking before you turn 13. I want to know. I want to know now. Leave the comment right now. Type it. Start typing. If you're not typing, I'm going to be really upset. Type it. Fucking type it. If you're not typing it, I'm sad. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, favorite, comment, subscribe, and share. Sharing is the best thing you can do for it. The bigger audience, the more time I can justify into this, the more financial commitment I can put into this, and the more interaction you guys get, not only with me, but with each other through those comments. Everybody have a good day. Enjoy it. It's Friday. Happy Friday. Last day of the week. Do something irresponsible on the weekend, and either don't get caught or don't die. And I will see you on Monday, January 25th. Have a great day, everybody.